everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 3, Episode 17, Ham Radio News and Updates 4/30/2025. Hope everyone is doing well. Got a good crowd in here today. Cooley's here. Andy's here. Let's see who else we got. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks for stopping by this afternoon. Got some things to talk about. Gonna highlight a couple of things here and just some things that were going on that I'm aware of here. One of the first things that I wanted to talk about was, and let's go right here. Okay. There was Jason put out a video today, and it was really a very interesting video. Was the best ham radio content creators on Reddit. And what I thought I'd like to do would be to go ahead and go through this. And it's real interesting because, more often than not, when you get out to social media, it can get pretty nasty and downright not really cool. Well, this one was actually pretty well done. And they named some people that I probably would have named myself. The first, Walt from Coastal Waves and Wires, is mentioned here. K4SWL, Jim WL6LG. Jim's an older gentleman. I've seen him out there. Tech Minds, which is really kind of a mix of things. And there's some other ones. And I'll drop a link. Ham Radio Workbench is listed as one. Ringway Manchester is another one. KJ4YZI, Ham Radio Concepts, and then Michael at KB9BBR, fantastic channel. Michael has right there. The Tech Prepper is listed as one. See who else we have. K4SWL and Ham Radio 2.0 Jason. Callum DX Commander. Dave Kassler, KEOOG, W1DED. He has a good channel. I've seen his stuff before. Let's see who else do they have listed here. Let's see here. Ham Radio Tube, temporarily offline. Steve, TO, Smoking Ape, Salt Wall, Coastal Waves and Wires. Let's see who else here. Mike K at MRD and Josh from Ham Radio Crash Course. This is great. Steve WGOAT. Let's see who else here. There's quite a bit listed here. And I'm going to go ahead. What I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this here in the chat for you guys so you guys can go ahead and have that as a link. Chris, welcome. James, welcome. Thank you all for stopping by. This was really good. And the one thing I wanted to touch base on this, and Jason spent quite a bit of time, and I encourage you guys to go ahead and watch his video. It's really, like I said, YouTube, not only YouTube, but, social media in general, and that would include Reddit, can be kind of nasty places. And yeah, James, I agree. Josh is fantastic. My two big ones, or my three big ones, Josh, Jason from Ham Radio 2.0. Jason was invaluable in helping me get set up in terms of getting my YouTube channel up and running, and he answered so many questions for me. It was so really very helpful. Mike from K at MRD, he was real helpful as well. TO Steve from Temporarily Offline. Just a whole host of guys, but all those guys really made a big difference. And one of the things I can say about this is most, if not all, these channels, I know, and Jason spent quite a bit of time, because a lot of people think and are under the misnomer that when they review products that they're all sent to them for free. Jason made it real clear. Anything he has gotten, he reviews from ICOM or Yaesu or Kenwood, which I don't think he ever has, or Elecraft. he's purchased on his own, okay? Or he's been sent something, but they're loaners, okay? And he has to send that back. I think in a couple instances, Gigaparts has sent him a couple of radios to review, but they were loaners and he had to send them back. So, none of these, everybody thinks, oh, the content creators like Josh and Jason, they get all this free stuff. Well, as far as Yaesu and ICOM and Kenwood and Elecraft are concerned, no, they don't. And probably Flex Radio as well, too. They don't send out free units as far as I know. Okay. That just doesn't happen. And they buy these on their own. Now it's different. I've gotten several HTs. I got some from TYT. Haven't gotten anything from Balfung. But then there's that other company that I reviewed several of their HTs before. And, and they keep sending them to me, which is good, which obviously that means I'm doing a good job on that. So, what Jason was basically trying to say is, they're not influenced by the manufacturers. Okay. They're influenced by what works well. And, as different radios have different feature sets and, and they do different things. So, that's kind of the name of the game. And just to kind of level set the playing field. And I watched a video from Walt this afternoon. He did a really good video, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But one of the things that he says, and I'm not quite there as far as being monetized on Ham Radio Basics yet. I'm close. I'm still probably got about 500 or so hours to get. I have the number of subscribers. I'm not there with actual hours, and that kind of takes a while to build up. But one of the things that Walt talks about, and this is what I do with my drone channel, is all the monies that I get from that, I reinvest, I turn it right back around and buy products for the channel or help support the channel because, for example, StreamYard each month. And now, I do multiple shows. I do, ham radio. I do YouTube. I also have a Florida Panthers Den, hockey channel as well, a technology channel. It costs me $64.99 a month just for StreamYard and to be able to do the streams. Now, that includes, saving the videos out on their cloud, which is good because I can't begin to, I've had 8 years worth of videos once a week for my drone channel. And now we're going on 3 years here for ham radio. So, that storage space is expensive no matter where you get it. And it's a great alternative for me, but it's money, and it's what I'm doing is I'm turning it around and back in, back into the channel. So just, this is a real good list. I suggest you guys go over that. I know, and you can add your own 2 cents worth into here. I'm probably going to do the same myself, kind of list my favorites out there. But all these guys that are listed that I know of, they are fantastic. They have been helpful. If I've ever asked them questions, they've answered them for me. I've gone into their chats. Their chats are great. Their comments are great. And they do a good job. So, that's, one of the things I really wanted to kind of get things kicked off with that today because I thought it was really good. And I thought Jason did a great job on this video. Now, one of the other things I wanted to go ahead and cover here, let me go ahead and get this up too. Now, this video has been making the rounds, and there's been several posts about this as well. Apparently, there was a nationwide power outage in the country of Spain recently. I don't know how recent this was. Obviously, it was this video was posted. I don't know when I think the video was posted either today or yesterday from a gentleman over in Spain. And what was real interesting, he was using a Zygu 6100 QRP radio and trying to communicate. And he was talking about not being able to really make contact with people, in saying, ham radio failed us. The talk came up in some circles. This has kind of made the rounds here. you know, and one of the things that he was basically saying is ham radio has failed us because I wasn't able to make any contact. Well, number one, he's on a QRP radio, okay? And I think the 6100, I think it's limited as 10 watts, okay? So, and you're in the middle of a power outage. Well, first thing that popped into my mind, and probably a lot of you as well, if you've seen this before, if you've seen this video or the comments on it already, was UHF VHF. I mean, 2 meter, 70 centimeters. I mean, an HT. Because, when we had our most recent hurricane, I checked into a net that night, and, I was able to pick it up, which was great. I had good propagation that night. I was on my HT. I was standing out on my front porch and was able to connect with them. And that's what you do. When it comes to emergency situations, you want to use an HT. Okay, you want to use UHF, VHF, 2 meters, 70 centimeters. That's going to be your go-to as far as that's concerned. The other thing is, if you have some LifePo batteries around the house, which you probably should. I do. I have several, enough to power a 7300. You want to go out there. You want to try to, if it really is a true critical emergency, you want, like I said, you first want to use your HT. And then second of all, if you want to make some long distance contacts, if you need to do that for emergency purposes, you bust out like a 7300 and hook that up to a LifePo battery, something that has some kick behind it, so you can boom your 100 watts out there and make sure you have a good antenna up to be able to do that. So, I'm telling you guys for awareness. I hope you guys can take a look at that. Oh, okay. Wow, that's great signal, Voyage. Wow, that's fantastic. Thanks, James. I appreciate that. It's kind of a touchy subject. From what I've seen, it's gotten some, he's gotten some people have been not so kind to him in return. And I think they're kind of missing the point. He's talking about it from a very limited aspect of things. I'm not sure if his English is translating well or not. There's that some communication type of breakdown. But I think all in all, the message that was sent to him was, in an emergency, have your UHF, VHF. That's why I have 3 HTs. Okay. Redundancy for something like that. I don't have 3 HF radios, but I do have 3 HTs. And for that simple purpose, I can be able to communicate. Now, the other thing, well, I'll say I have 4 because let's count the 705 in, because I have UHF, VHF on the 705, and I can reach out with that. And, that's one of the things that sold me on the 705 was having UHF, VHF on there. It's a godsend to be able to have that in a portable unit like that. So really, in essence, I have 4 HTs, so to speak. So, all in all, you want to make sure. Yeah, only 3. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, only 3. Yeah, I'm kind of working on that. Anyway, I think it's important to gain a perspective on things. Not a lot of us got into ham radio because of emergency communications. That's how I ended up getting into it, because, I know cell phone towers fail during storms, and specifically during hurricanes and tropical storms. And I wanted to be able to have some outside means of communication. And that's what got the ball rolling for me for ham radio. And I've been hooked ever since. And, you need to understand some things here. What's a real true emergency? Are you experiencing an earthquake, a flood, a natural disaster? If it's a national power outage, okay, that's a different kind of an emergency. All right. you want to make sure, just a definition of that would really help here. And it's a can of worms. I mean, he really kind of opened up a can of worms here, and you need to walk carefully on this. But the one big thing that I'm taking out of all this is to just make sure that he knows and he understands that he can use an HT in this instance, UHF, VHF, 2 meter, 70 centimeter. I don't know what the bands are like over in Spain. I have no idea. But, to use that first in terms of an emergency, and maybe check in with a local net, because we have a great local net set up right. It's less than 5 miles from my house. I was able to reach them without any problem. Propagation was good that night on my HT. So, but that's some food for thought with this. I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys. And I know, a lot of people have had a lot to say with that. TO, if you haven't subscribed to Steve's channel, do so. He said 35,999. So, I would subscribe, but I've been subscribed for several years. So, if you haven't, please do so. I think Steve would really appreciate that. I love seeing pictures of guys that have just gotten shacks that are set up, and you can see he's got a simple wooden table there, probably maybe an old workbench, and he's got his rig set up there, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So, kudos to him. You don't have to have, you don't have to have fancy. You get something that will get the job done. This obviously gets the job done, and kudos to Scott. That was a great. I think that was a great thing for him. So let's go ahead and now Walt builds another antenna. A quarter wave ground plane antenna. That's a great video. So if you get a chance to, make sure you watch that. As you guys know, Walt just does an exceptional job with these antennas. He loves to do portable operations from the beach and the salt water, so hence his saltwater Walt. So, okay. Now, Mike K at MRD, whatever happened to Mailbag Monday? Watch the video. He explains some things there about Mailbag Monday and, the time it takes for him to get these together. And he was getting a lot of questions he wasn't able to answer on there. So spend some time and watch that. Mike's a great guy. I like him. I've met him. Really like his channel. He does a great job with that. So, and then our good friend Steve, TO, a mod for the IC 7100, and it's fantastic. It adds capability for power poles. It's a very simple mod. It's kind of like the one for the FT-891 on the back of the radio. It's real simple to be able to do. Steve walks you right through. Steve is fantastic at that. He's very mechanically inclined. He loves to get in there and do things like that. Yeah, I mean, that is just, James, that's a fantastic mod. I mean, that really is. I can't tell you, whoever invented power poles is my hero, okay, years ago, because it made things so much easier in terms of electrical connections and things. It's a godsend. It really is. And at 7100 is, I know I've gotten some grief from putting out my video when ICOM started redistributing again, because they had done some updates on it, and people are saying, well, it's gotten more expensive, and well, you know what? It packs, it's one of the most unique radios out there, because it's something, you could use it as home, you could use it portable, you can use it in your vehicle as well. 100-watt HF, UHF, VHF as well. A great interface. Some people complain about the screen and everything, and it needs to be updated and everything. It does its job, and it does it very well. Yes, it does, James. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, that's something I'm strongly considering for my vehicle, because I think that's that's going to cover all your bases, and you won't have to have 4 or 5 radios in your vehicle. That will pretty much do it all. So, oh yeah, oh absolutely, absolutely, yeah. That's a nice thing about that radio. I mean, it's so versatile. I mean, you could use it as a base station. You could use it portable, saying doing POTA or SOTA if you wanted to, and you can use it in a vehicle as well. I mean, it has multiple applications. Kudos to ICOM for the way they had that set up with the head unit and the base unit and everything, and just the connections on there. They still a radio that deserves your keen interest. If you want to get an all-in-one solution, it's a great all-in-one solution, and it's still I think the interface is still pretty doggone good. Well, I love Yaesu radios. Don't get me wrong. I have an Yaesu FT-5DR. Fantastic. I love it. Menu systems can be a little clunky on Yaesus. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. There is somewhat of a learning curve. So people probably need to be patient. But no, this is a great mod. This is something, if you want to find out how to do it, Steve shows it. It's super, super easy, minimal tools. It takes no time at all. It'll make such a great difference in your life. Trust me. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Steve. See right here, best portable vertical HF antenna for ham radio. Okay. Smoking Ape does a great review. It's a JPC 112. I know a lot of people have looked at that radio as well, looked at that antenna as well. I have that. I got mine. I think I got mine from Banggood. I'm not 100% sure, but one of the things that he said in there, and a lot of people have done this, is the ground radials. It's kind of like they're kind of like all wired together. And the instructions say to separate them out, which is great. And it comes with an eyelet to mount on there. A lot of people have gone to DX Engineering and have bought some other ground radials. I think Chameleon makes something that is absolutely perfect for that. So you want to check that out. But no, Smoking Ape did a great job on this. It's a great antenna. It's something I highly recommend. It's super easy to set up. Absolutely super easy to set up. One thing that just a suggestion is to get a magic marker out when you find the bands on the coil to mark those slots on there. Okay. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, absolutely, Cooley. I am too. I really am. Absolutely, 100%. So, but no, this is a great video. This is a great antenna. It's very reasonably priced. I think you can get them out on Amazon now, which is really nice. And just as a side note, I have listed in there an Amazon store, quote unquote, with ham radio products in there. It's just not antennas and connectors, BNC connectors, and power poles. There's legit radios. Okay, they partner, I think, with Gigaparts, and you can get a 7300, you can get a 7100. You can get Yaesu radios out there. I mean, just a whole host of things that are out and available there now that never used to be out there. So that's something you want to check that out. And I do have a link in the description. I do put that on all my videos. But this is a fantastic antenna. It's super easy to set up. Great results from that. I mean, it's every bit as good as some of its big brothers. Like Chameleon Impasse 2.0. It does a great job. It's not as tall, but it does a great job. The only thing you do need to do, and this is something I would recommend, is to get a magic marker so you can mark the bands on the coil so you know where you're at. So you don't have to go do that time in and time out. So there you go, Jeff. There, hopefully you can get some tips and get that going. I know a lot of people use that. So yeah, but that's something. That's a good video from Smoking Ape. That's something recommend that you watch. Now, Jason gave us a lot to think about in this video: ham scammers in the FCC. And one of the things that he talked about in here, which is real interesting, these paraglider guys, they communicate using Baofungs, okay, and they don't have licenses. And he kind of covers that in this video. So give it a watch and post some comments on there. That it's a very thought-provoking kind of video. I mean, Jason says it's the perfect use case scenario for GMRS radios in here. But these guys, they said you can hear everybody, turning on when you turn on the radio, that greeting that you get on a Baofeng. Said you can hear that all over the place when these paraglider guys are going up there and they're doing their thing. Now, this isn't with the motorized ones. These are guys who have like the full-on, I mean, it looks like a wing parachute kind of a thing and do flying like that. So, yeah, that's a video. You need to check that out. Jason does a great job on that. I know last week I talked about the new radio from Lab 599, and these are some a little bit better pictures of it. The TX 500. That's a real good picture of that. I mean, talking about a true portable HF radio, handheld, so to speak. Yeah, very intriguing, very enticing. There's a link in there, but all it does, it takes you to a page and describes some things on there, but there's no idea on availability or being able to purchase that yet. So kind of hang in there. Okay. And here's the link from Lab 599. Let's see if that works here. Yeah, it's the same that I showed you guys last week. So, all right. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, last night up in Western Pennsylvania, they had some pretty severe weather up there. And phones say emergency calls only. Our internet is still up, which is amazing considering all the lines are on the ground. On our 2-meter ham radio net last night, there were call signs I never heard before. Most of the net participants were on backup power. A neighbor lost 2 buildings. Local business destroyed. Heard a home down the road, lost a roof as well. And I talked to, I didn't talk to a friend, but I saw a friend of mine had posted they had 80-mile-an-hour winds come through there last night. I'm sure probably had a tornado come through there last night, which, yeah, wow. Yeah, not good. Not good. Yeah, James, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But, Jason was making the point. They're using a ham radio illegally. They're not licensed. So go figure that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is, and see here again, this is, tying this back to the gentleman from Spain that was doing QRP and trying to make contact with people, and versus this instance right here. This is an instance where, he gets out there, gets out on the net. UHF, VHF, okay, 2 meters, 70 centimeters. What it's designed for, what HTs are designed for, or disasters like this. And some of these guys were on backup power, and they're probably running UHF, VHF to do that. But the thing is, it's UHF, VHF. It's not HF. You don't need to talk to somebody out in California telling them, you've had a power outage and damage in the local area. You need to talk to somebody in your local area, in the Western PA area, if you would need help or assistance. And, obviously these nets worked real well. And a real great use case is what happened in Western North Carolina when the hurricane came through, and how, ham radio really saved the day. And it really was literally a lifesaver for a lot of people in Western North Carolina. So, it cannot be understated, how valuable a skill it is to be a ham radio operator. And, all you guys. Yeah, weather nets are dynamic, James. I agree. I agree. But it's great to have them, and it's great to have people out there that are serious about this. And, a lot of these guys, they drill for this and they train for this. And this is something that's right up their alley, and they do a great job with all this. So, but, this is kind of like a contrasting, in 2 different use cases, 2 different scenarios here. I'm real happy that didn't sound like anybody got hurt up there, but that there was a lot of damage. Some buildings were lost. hopefully nobody got hurt. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody up in the Western Pennsylvania area for that. So, I mean, yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, this is it's a good show, and it was, I don't mean this necessarily, but this was a good thing to show on here and show the contrasting styles here. And there, I think part of it's a language barrier and an issue as far as that's concerned. Now that he may also be a new ham radio guy too, and you have no idea what licensing is like in Spain, what their levels are, anything like that. But I think he needs to get educated in the fact that if he's having an issue where he's at, reaching out to Italy or reaching out to, say, over to the UK or something like that, he needs to be able to reach locally if he's having an issue. And to do that, you need UHF, VHF, 2 meter, 77 air. I mean, that's the name of the game, guys. So, all right, Alvaro, welcome. Thank you for stopping by this afternoon. Appreciate that. So, fantastic. Appreciate that. That's all I have for this week, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, guys, remember, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7-3s to all of you. Have a great rest of your week, and I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thanks so much.